What's going on, guys? Milk Ducks here. Today we're going to be looking at Malthael. He's the newest hero introduced to the game, and he's actually very strong right now. Currently has the highest win rate according to HOTS logs. And I just wanted to go over briefly some of his talents and then show you some gameplay that I had recently. Malthael's a really strong assassin, but I do feel like he has a lot of flaws, a lot of weaknesses, and I think that they're pretty easily countered, if I'm being honest. A lot of the best heroes in the game, talking about like a Nubarak and Uther and Malfurion, Varian, all very strong counters to Malthael. So I don't know yet how effective he's going to be in organized competitive play. But I do know that he is a lot of fun to play, and he fits my playstyle pretty well, and I have a lot of fun with him. So just going over some of his abilities right now, we've got level 1 is kind of Malthael's mobility tier, okay? So every one of these abilities gives him some kind of mobility, right? So Death's Reach increases the range of his W by 35%. This is good. I don't think it's necessary, though, and we'll get on to that in a second. On a pale horse, 20% bonus movement speed while mounted sounds very good. I just don't think it's necessary. Fear the Reaper, I think, is far and away the best choice, and HOTS logs, according to the win percentage, agrees with that. Fear the Reaper is a 25% speed bonus for 4 seconds, and it's on a 25-second cooldown. It also allows you to pass through other units, which is very strong. So when Malthael goes deep, and that's kind of what he does, that's kind of why he's strong, he's able to get back out. He's also able to mark more targets in this way. He can get away from people, he can chase people. This is just a very strong talent. So Fear the Reaper level 1, I think, is the best. Level 4, these are all abilities that kind of are going to define his playstyle. Die Alone looks good on paper, right? Like a 75% damage bonus to Soul Rip sounds great. I just don't think that this really synergizes well with the way that he's meant to be played, which is to getting in the middle of a team fight and just kind of causing havoc, right? Like, you're not often going to be soul ripping one target. Throwing Shade, I like personally, and this is kind of the way that I preferred to play him when he first launched earlier in the week. But as it turns out, if you're looking at win percentages, Throwing Shade is far and away not only, I think, one of the least picked talents, but it also has a very low win percentage. It's 47% compared to 56% on Black Harvest. So it's a 9, almost 10-point gap between these two. So I mean, if I'm being honest, let's avoid Throwing Shade and just focus on Black Harvest. Black Harvest is very strong. It's a very easy quest to complete, and it increases the duration of his Reaper's Mark by 2 seconds, which is kind of a big deal. It's going to synergize very well later with Memento Mori at 16. So at 7, I think Mortality is the only one of these talents that I really wouldn't recommend. So what that does is allows your Wraith Strike, your W, to deal 4% of the enemy's max health. I know that sounds good. I don't feel like it's necessary. Reaper's Mark in and of itself is where your damage is coming from. So I feel like Cold Hand, right, where you're reducing the movement speed of everyone around you by 20% for 2.5 seconds. I think that's extremely strong. I also think the Touch of Death is really strong situationally. If you don't feel like you need Touch of Death, which is going to reduce incoming healing by a significant amount, right, 50%, it's basically Mortal Strike on the entire enemy team. If you don't feel like that's going to get much play, I mean, Cold Hand is extremely good. There is really only one choice at level 10 right now. I think that's a shame, because Last Rites has the potential to be very good, but it is really bad. I wouldn't recommend this talent, and in fact, it has a 47% win rate on HOTS logs compared to Tormented Soul's 58. So again, that's an 11-point difference, and I think Last Rites just doesn't synergize with the way that he plays. Right? If it had a longer range, we could maybe talk about it, right? If you were more like Necrophos from Dota, I feel like there could maybe be a place for that, but Last Rites as it stands right now, I don't recommend that, okay? Tormented Souls is really the way to go. It allows you to go in deep, mark everybody up, cause a lot of chaos, and that's really exactly what Malthael does, okay? Level 13 is kind of, you can think of it as Malthael's survivability tier, so you got to think about what does he need, right? Soul Siphon gives him more healing from his Q. Ethereal Existence gives him physical armor for every target that he has marked. Inevitable End makes him unstoppable, right? So you would use that against heavy CC teams. You would use Ethereal Existence against, obviously, heavy AA teams, auto attackers. And you would use Shroud of Wisdom, which gives you spell armor against, obviously, ability damage heroes. Ethereal Existence has the highest win rate. But obviously, if you're playing against all ability damage heroes, you don't need that, okay? You would want Shroud of Wisdom, regardless of what the win percentages say, okay? But any of these can be viable. It really depends on the game that you're in. So you got to be thinking about what you're playing and how the game's going to go and what you need to survive. 16, Massacre has a very low win percentage. I wouldn't recommend that at all. I think that Soul Collector is very good, right? It reduces the cooldown on your Q and increases the range by 50%. I think that's very good. Memento Mori, however, I think is just far and away the best. You're going to get extra value out of Black Harvest. Memento Mori is going to do 100% bonus damage on your Reaper's Mark after it's been applied for more than 4 seconds. So, like, you're going to have that up on people, and it's going to be ticking for a lot of damage. So Memento Mori is definitely the one, the talent here that I would suggest. Okay. Okay. So we're not going to talk about Angel of Death because we're not going to be taking Last Rites. Okay. Reaper of Souls, I feel like, is a very good ability. However, I don't think it's necessary, right? So Malthael has a lot of these abilities, right, where that's very good, but I don't think that it does anything that he needs, okay? Final Curtain, on the other hand, it provides him with kind of some zoning potential. It also allows you to sort of reapply or refresh your mark in an area, right? You need to have your mark up on people at all times. That's critical. Marking multiple people is critical. That's how you stay alive through Soul Rip. So this is, I think, far and away the best ability here. No one can stop death. I think you're going to see value in that at times. But, you know, I mean, obviously, if you're going to lose the game and you got to, like, you hit 20 and you got to snap that in and respawn and that's going to save your team, cool. That's great. But I think on a game-to-game basis, you're not really going to get value out of No One Can Stop Death. Yeah, I would think you want Final Curtain, okay? Okay, so we're going to pop into a game and we're going to watch. This is a game I played the other day on Garden of Terror. I felt like I did well, but this is not a match that I would ordinarily upload to YouTube, just because I feel like I made a lot of mistakes. I died a couple times. I'm kind of a perfectionist, and you know, I don't know, I don't like to upload things like that, but on the advice of some friends, I decided I'm going to go ahead and do it, and we'll talk about maybe the mistakes that I made along the way. Let me just get set up here. Okay, so right away, this time when you're standing at you're standing at the gates and you're waiting to leave, you should be looking at your opponent's abilities and finding out kind of what sticks out, and trying to figure out what their playstyle is going to be like that game. Okay, so we can see that Lily took Conjurer's Pursuit. So what she's looking for is more of a healing build. Okay, we know that she's going to want to try to keep her mana sustained, so that I feel like I'm pretty reasonably certain that she's going to take Cups at 10. Like, she's going to try to heal at 10. She's like not Water Dragon, just I'm going to try to heal. Other than that, like, nothing really sticks out. You can see that their Malthael took Death's Reach, and I took Fear the Reaper. So he isn't going to have the escapes that I can have, but he might have better chase. So right now we're just kind of scuffling mid. Okay, we lost one, they lost one, and I hear a lot. I mean, I hear people say, you know, why do you bother with this stuff? Why do people start the game and just kind of rush mid? It seems like, oh, you should just be getting to lanes, right? Well, the thing is, though, like, this is kind of what people do because, like let's say your team did go, like, you sent 3 mid, you sent 1 top, 1 bottom, and then you venture out into the lane, and their team is all 5, right? You're in a serious threat at that point of getting somebody picked off. So you know, having those people top and bottom at the very start of the lane, at the very start of the map, isn't necessary anyway, because those lanes take longer to get there. So really, having 5 all mid is really kind of a precaution. It's kind of like, okay, well, I'm just making sure that you don't have your guys all there, or we're protected. You know, does that make sense? Still nothing serious going on. You can see that as I'm sort of bouncing around on people, I'm trying my best to throw my mark on as many people as possible. Another thing I want you to see is that I'm not just walking up to people and throwing Death Shroud at them. Death Shroud doesn't actually do anything. All it does is apply your mark at range. So if you're fighting someone toe to toe and you throw Death Shroud at them, it's a waste of a cooldown. It's a waste of mana, because you're already going to have them dotted, right? You're already going to have mark on them because you're physically hitting them. So be sure to save this. Try to use it. You know, if you need to scout an area, you know, like I just did, you can throw it over there to make sure no one's coming. You can throw it to people who are about to be engaged in a fight, or you can throw it on minions while you're in the middle of a fight and just try to get some extra healing off of them. I don't know what I'm thinking. I think I'm looking at the minimap here and trying to figure out what's going on, and I get caught in the root. That's a really bad play on my part. So we're going to try to make something happen here. You're going to see more and more that I kind of stick on Arthas. The reason for that is because he's really one of my only good targets, okay? So Lily has an innate bonus movement speed. That's her trait, right? So I would have to, in order to continue to attack her, I would need to keep my W. I would have to, like, use my W in order to continuously stay on her, okay? Genji and Li Ming are both super slippery. It's going to be really hard for me to stay on top of either of them, okay? Malthael, yeah, I can stay on Malth, and I can stay on Arthas, right? Those are the good targets for me. So you're going to see me, like, staying on the two of them and maybe not harassing those heroes maybe as much as I should, but I guess the reason I'm doing that is because I feel like those are the only good targets. Okay, so I did pick up Black Harvest here. You can see the enemy Malthael did as well. Other than that, like, nothing big as far as talents that jump out at me as, like, you know, oh hey, I need to be thinking about this. Next level, I will end up taking the what's it called, Hungry for Death, or whatever, the one that reduces the amount of healing that the enemies take by 50% for 4 seconds. The reason I'm doing that is because, like I said, I'm relatively certain that Lily is going to go Cups. So when she pops that, I will pop that ability, and then that's going to drastically reduce her healing output. I'm also relatively certain, just because it's pretty common, that Arthas will take Army of the Dead. And so if I can reduce his healing as well, that's very cool. You can see that Li Ming has dominance, so when she gets takedowns, she restores 20% of her health. I don't know that Touch of Death affects that, but I mean, it's maybe good practice. Now again, here, I don't think I noticed this right away, but the enemy Malthael has not taken a Touch of Death, okay? And I can maybe see why he did, right? But Stitches can heal himself. Ariel's a very strong healer. I can heal myself on Malthael, and I feel like, so if and you'll see me do it to him, like when he jumps in and he pops Tormented Souls and he's trying to stay alive, all I do is mark him and pop Touch of Death, and his Q does not sustain him through the damage that we can put out. So he could have done the same to me, and it would have been really difficult for me to do anything. But he chose not to. He chose to go with Mortality instead, and I think that was a big mistake on his part. So time and time again, right? This Stitches is making big plays for us, and when he does, I'm sure I try my best to capitalize on that by Wraith Striking in immediately and trying to body block. I mean, he gets probably... See, here's another one. That Malthael is just dead as anything. Still a pretty standard game so far. 8 to 8. We're up by about half a level. I think we are going to hit 10 first if we keep up this pace. We're also on pace here to get the first Garden Tear, and the enemy team at this point, I don't think they can get a terror. Like, even if they had contested us here, I think really what they need to do is soak, because, you know, they're not going to stop us from getting this. And that's exactly, I think, what they're doing. Yep. So we're still maybe half a level up, so that's cool, but they've definitely closed the gap a little bit. So again here, I think the problem is that we get a little bit split, but as you can see, like, between the two of them, I'm able to sustain myself pretty well, and I can actually take out this Arthas with no problems, really. I can reduce the healing, right, with Touch of Death. The problem here, and I feel like if it were, you know, just the Genji and the Malthael, I maybe could have taken him, but Li Ming comes in and pops me. I needed to probably be more aware of my surroundings. Also, our team was just split, and I think you can see from our Genji as well. Antaeus is saying, like, you know, team, like, where is everybody? I feel like that was just a misplay from our team in general, but I needed to be more aware of where my team was. And actually, coming up here, I think I make the exact same mistake, and I end up dying again, but we do have a team fight bottom. Our terror is pushing in. So you can see here that enemy Arthas took Syndragosa, which I did not expect. I think that's a pretty big misplay on his part. I really feel like he needed to take Army of the Dead, but again, I had counters for that, right, with Touch of Death. So either way, I don't think he had a good choice, but Syndragosa, I think, was the worst of the two choices. So I'm going to pop Tormented Souls and start going in, right? We're dotting everybody up, and we are able to stay on top of people pretty well here. The problem is that, again, like, I feel like our team has split up a little bit, and I can kill these guys, but I'm fighting them underneath a tower by myself, and again, that's just situational awareness on my part. Like, I don't feel like I was really paying attention as well as I should have, and I also don't feel like our team was really where they needed to be either. So I'm not going to blame my team, because it was, you know, equally my fault. But you know, when you make mistakes, you know, you need to be able to own up to them. And I should not have been fighting 2v1 under a tower, even though I have a tremendous amount of self-healing. I had confidence that I would survive, and it would turn out to be overconfidence, really.
Perhaps these mercenaries will join us.
So again, as far as talents, again, you should be constantly checking talents. I can't emphasize this enough. You know, you should always be looking at what the enemy team has and what you need to counter it. So Lily did take Jugs, right? We assumed that would be the case because she took Conjurers at 1, and that did end up being the case. Although Arthas did surprise us with Syndragosa. So, you know, yeah, still definitely some surprises, even if you think you know what's going on. So I sense there's a big team fight going on here. So I popped Tormented Souls, and I'm really only affecting the Arthas. So I probably didn't need to do that. So maybe it's a waste of a cooldown, but like I said, I felt like it was the best choice there, but I don't think it was, really, looking back on it. We're going to be able to chase down Lily here pretty easily, even with her bonus movement speed. If she had gotten too much farther away, I would have popped Fear the Reaper to close the gap and hit her, and then just finish her off with Ray Strike. So Malthael, very strong on any kind of map where there are these kind of static, large hit point type objectives, right? Like Battlefield of Eternity, Garden of Terror, anything where, you know, like there's a big boss type monster who's going to stand there and just let you hit it because his Reaper's Mark is going to get a lot of value. So I'm stuck in a position that I don't want to be in right now, kind of sandwiched between Malthael and the boss and the rest of the enemy team. And I think I kind of panic here. I see the cups go out. I see the boss closing in. So I pop Tormented Souls, just trying to get some extra healing and extra just whatever I can do. The fact that I survived this is really just blind luck. I really should have died. You could maybe say that Shroud of Wisdom saved me, but I really just think the enemy team didn't capitalize on me being caught in the roots. it was a big misplay on my part, and it only worked out because they didn't capitalize on it. That's it. That's not me being good. That's just them being bad. So right now, my team is down bottom taking a camp and getting some seeds. Now, if I had been more observant, I would have seen that Genji was present on the map, and actually I think Li Ming as well. So here I'm trying to get these seeds, and Arthas comes in to invade and stop me. Now again, like, I didn't notice in the game that Genji and Li Ming were bottom. I see that now in the replay, but if I had been more observant, I would have just stayed and fought Arthas, okay? Because I can take Arthas easy, but I was afraid that I was going to get collapsed on by these really mobile heroes, and I just decided not to take that risk. So we do see the cups going out. I did not pop Touch of Death because I didn't feel at that point like it was necessary. Now I'm probably going to, yeah, see, now I'm going to pop it in order to stay alive, okay? I'm getting very low on health. I need to dot everybody up. I need to start queuing people to get my health back. Right? I also popped Touch of Death and Shroud of Wisdom just to keep myself alive and to keep them from healing as well as they could have. So Li Ming, I think, making a big mistake by coming in and being greedy here is going to get punished really hard. In fact, their whole team is going to get punished for her mistake. She gets caught in the Ring of Frost. Arthas and Li Ming, or Lily, are also going to get caught out. I don't... Yeah, see, I get the hit on her, and then I can jump in with Wraith Strike and finish her off. So that all happened because Li Ming decided to run in and get greedy against low health opponents, and like I get that. That's kind of what Li Ming does, right? Like, she's a reset hero, so she wants to go in and she wants to get those resets on people. But if it's gonna cost you three lives, you know, that's just not worth it.
For now.
So we are level 16 now, and I do have Memento Mori. So after my Reaper's Mark has been on a target for more than 4 seconds, it's going to do double damage. So you're going to see here just how quickly we can shred this terror, because not only because of me, but because of Reaper's Mark, I think, in general. I mean, that terror got basically no value, right? And so we were able to sort of counter push. We were able to make a counter push here as well, and I think be very successful in it. Again, you're going to see the Syndragosa go out, and I just don't understand why. So I'm going to pop Tormented Souls. I'm popping Touch of Death because I see the cups go out, and then he's not able to heal himself. Even though Lily popped cups, because I prevented 50% of her healing with Touch of Death, Mouth's going to go down, right? He can't sustain himself with his Q, and even though Lily's popped cups, she can't get him either. So that's what I mean. Like, I think Touch of Death, maybe not an every game pick. It's also just a very strong pick if you are using it in the right situations. Arthas is going to go down. He's got no way to get out of this. So our terror is still pushing top, so we're going to push mid. Right? We're not the best kind of pushing team, right? Malthael does effectively nothing against structures. Ariel has very little damage against structures. Stitches, and he is slam build Stitches, but even so, you know, not the best sieger in the whole world. And neither is Jaina. Has just very high cooldowns. I mean, very impactful cooldowns, but still very high cooldowns. It doesn't make her especially effective at sieging large structures, but she can take towers and walls down pretty effectively and quickly. So we know that they're going to be busy top, so we're going to snake out these two camps bottom, and I think that's the correct play. We do know at this point, we can see on the map that several of their heroes are collapsing on us, but we're reasonably certain that we're able to fight back if they do decide to invade. We have all of our cooldowns up. And we also have a 3-level advantage, right? Like almost level 20. So I see him pop his Tormented Souls, and I immediately pop Touch of Death, right? This should be like muscle memory, right? This should be like a reflex. As soon as you see those big healing sort of abilities go out, you should be popping Touch of Death and making sure that you're preventing 50% of it.
Triple kill.
Find peace.
So I do think we're going to be able to pick up this this Arthas. So I jump in on him and finish him off. At this point, in retrospect, they have 4 heroes down and we have a 3-level advantage. Like we have 20. We could probably finish this game if we wanted to. And I do think that we kind of go in and we make an attempt to do that. But remember what I said before, like, we don't have the greatest sieging team. We are 4v5. They are getting up soon, right? Genji's up now. Li Ming's up very soon. And we're just not the greatest siege team anyway. Again, in retrospect, I feel like we could have done it, maybe especially after Genji died, but we decided to back off and just go ahead and do the safe play, which is getting the camps. Or, I'm sorry, not getting the camps, but getting the next Garden Terror. This is a mistake I think that a lot of people make. Well, first of all, not knowing when they can finish a game, like that's a mistake in and of itself. And again, I feel like we could have, but the bigger mistake that I see people make is that they think that they can win a game when they can't. And even if you are up 3 levels and you have 20 and they don't, the big thing to remember is that this is our match to lose. So if we are greedy and we give them a foothold into this match, HOTS is one of those games where, like, it's never really over until it's over, and a mistake like that can cost you the match. And so I don't think that we were really eager to sort of tempt fate, right? Just, very easy for us to go in with them down still. We have a commanding presence on the map to go in and just go ahead and take the Terror, which is what we did. Now we're going to push with the Terror as 5 with a level 20 advantage. So this is, it cost us, what, a minute and a half of time, but we're really... I don't see how we can lose at this point. Also, like, I didn't understand at the time. I still don't understand, like, what the deal was with that Syndragosa. But, it is what it is. Okay, so Cups went out, so I have popped Touch of Death. I went ahead and popped my ultimate. I popped Touch of Death. So, again, Lily's just not able to sustain through it. I know I keep harping on that, but, like, when you see those big ultimates go out, you need to be responding with the appropriate, with the appropriate response, right?
That one's pushing up daisies.
Again, she's very slippery, so I popped Fear the Reaper in order to close the gap. She tried to juke away with the teleport, but I can close in again with the W, finish her off by she's trying to go in with Jaina. That's gonna be GG. So again, if we look at the talents, I guess I'm not able to look at the talents here, but we went over them in game. So I finished with 9 kills, 21 assists, only 2 deaths. Okay. 25k siege damage, not great. I do think Malthael is capable of doing quite a lot of siege damage, or at least to minion waves. He clears minion waves pretty quickly, just maybe not the most efficiently in terms of mana and sustain. I did do 81,000 hero damage, which was the most in the game. The next highest was on their team with Li Ming at 52,000. So we beat her score. We beat her damage by close to 30,000 damage, which is quite significant. Again, I wouldn't typically post a game like this. I don't like posting games where I die. I know that sounds stupid, but I'm a perfectionist, and I feel like that's, that maybe I'm always chasing that. Like, maybe I could do the same gameplay, get just as high a score, but I won't die at all. And people will want to see that. But I think realistically, that's just not a fun way to play the game. You should be playing to have fun. You should be playing to get better, and part of getting better is recognizing that you're gonna die, and you're gonna make mistakes, and you need to be able to watch your replays and be critical of yourself in a sort of a positive way. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to die, and I appreciate my friends who helped me to understand that. So hopefully we have taken, hopefully we've learned some stuff, right, from the Malthael gameplay. And if you are interested in playing Malthael, maybe you're better equipped to do that. And if you are interested in playing against Malthael, maybe you are better equipped to do that as well. I had mentioned before there are several heroes that I think are very good against him. So you've seen now what the playstyle is, right? You jump in, you dot as many people as possible with tormented souls, and you self-sustain. So what counters that? Okay, we talked about a Nubarak, right? A Nubarak can just cocoon you when you do that. Varian can taunt you when that happens, right? So drastically reducing your ability to self-sustain with Q. Uther can stun you with hammer of judgment, hammer of justice, or whatever. He can double stun you with divine storm while his team burns you down. Malfurion, as soon as you pop in, he twilight dreams. That's it, man. Again, I feel like Malthael is a very strong character. I do think that, though, I'm not sure of where his place is in terms of the competitive meta at the moment, because a lot of these characters that I've mentioned that are almost hard counters to him are also kind of generally considered to be high tier characters, maybe some of the best heroes in the game anyway, so you're going to see them in most matches. So again, we will see. He does have a very high win percentage on hot slogs right now. And I guess we will continue to monitor that and see how that plays out. But yeah, this has been fun. My name is Milk Ducks, and see you in the Nexus.